picture this. You're sitting on the sofa. Your partner leans in close. Maybe they rest their head on your shoulder or you laugh at something only the two of you share, and within seconds something changes in the room. Your dog gets up, walks over, nudges your hand, sits directly between you. Maybe they whine once, softly. Maybe they just stare at you with those eyes that somehow carry the weight of every feeling they've never been able to say out loud. You laugh it off. You call it jealousy. And honestly, it's a little flattering, isn't it? That your dog loves you so much, they can't stand to share you. But here's what most people never think to ask. What is actually happening inside your dog in that moment? Because what looks like jealousy on the surface is something far more ancient, far more complex, and far more meaningful than a simple emotional reaction to your partner. And by the end of this video, you will never look at that sofa interruption the same way again. For most of human history, we assumed animals didn't have emotions, not real ones. Emotion was considered the exclusive territory of the human mind. Dogs, it was thought, operated on instinct and conditioning, nothing more. That belief has been dismantled, quietly and decisively, over the last 2 decades. Neuroscientist Gregory Burns at Emory University pioneered a remarkable line of research, training dogs to lie still inside MRI machines while awake, then measuring their brain responses in real time. What he found reshuffled everything: the caudate nucleus, a brain region deeply tied to anticipation, reward, and emotional processing in humans, lit up in dogs in response to familiar scents, familiar voices, and critically, the presence of the people they loved. The architecture of canine emotion is not a simplified version of ours. It is structurally parallel to it. So when your dog walks across that room and inserts himself between you and someone else, he isn't performing. He is feeling. Something registered, something shifted, and his brain responded. In 2014, psychologist Christine Harris at UC San Diego ran what became one of the most talked about studies in canine behavioral science. She asked dog owners to interact with 3 different objects in front of their dogs: a realistic stuffed dog that barked and wagged, a jack-o'-lantern pail, and a children's picture book. The results were striking. Dogs showed significantly more jealousy-related behaviors. Pushing between the owner and the object, snapping at the stuffed dog, seeking physical contact when their owner interacted with the stuffed dog compared to the other objects, not the pail, not the book, the thing that looked like a social rival. What makes this remarkable isn't just that dogs responded jealously, is that they responded selectively. They weren't reacting to your attention disappearing. They were reacting to your attention going somewhere specific, somewhere social, somewhere that felt, to them, like a replacement. Your dog isn't upset that you stopped looking at them. They're upset that you're looking at someone else. Now go one level deeper, and the science becomes genuinely extraordinary. Research into what's called inequity aversion, the sensitivity to fairness in resource distribution, has revealed that this isn't a uniquely human concern. Studies across primate species, corvids, and domestic dogs have shown that animals track social fairness with remarkable precision. They notice when resources are distributed unequally. They protest when they receive less than others in the same interaction. For your dog, love is a resource. Attention is a resource. You are a resource, the most important one in their world. And when they watch that resource redirect toward another individual, something in them registers it not as sadness, but as a disruption of balance, a social inequality that needs to be corrected. This is not manipulation. This is an evolved, deeply wired sensitivity to social fairness that your dog carries in the same neural pathways as his ancestors, who depended on position within a group for survival. When he nudges between you and your partner, he is, on some level, making a bid to restore what he understands as the natural order of things. And here is perhaps the most surprising truth of all. Your partner is almost irrelevant. This is the part that tends to stop people, because the story we tell ourselves is that our dog doesn't like our partner, or is protective of us, or has made some kind of personal judgment. But the behavioral evidence tells a different story. Your dog is not reacting to your partner. They're reacting to you, specifically to a shift in your energy, your body language, your emotional availability. Dogs are exquisitely attuned to the humans they are bonded to. They read micro changes in posture, in breathing rhythm, in vocal tone. When you shift your full attention to someone else, when you soften, laugh, lean in, your dog detects that change before your partner has said a word. The message your dog receives isn't "there's a threat." It's "you changed, and I don't know why, and I need you back." This attunement is biological. When you and your dog make eye contact, even briefly, Both of your bodies release oxytocin, the same neurochemical that bonds parents to children, partners to each other. Your dog is not simply attached to you through habit. They are chemically, hormonally woven into your presence. At the same time, cortisol, the primary stress hormone, rises in dogs during separation and social exclusion. When your dog watches you redirect your full attention, they don't just feel left out in some vague emotional sense. Their stress chemistry responds. Their body is telling them that something important has shifted and that they need to act. That nudge on your hand isn't neediness, it is your dog's biology speaking, reaching toward the person who regulates their entire emotional world. Understanding this changes the way you respond. Most people either scold the dog, go lie down, or lean into it, turning it into a cute moment that gets filmed and posted. But there is a more meaningful response available to you, and it starts with recognition. When your dog interrupts a moment between you and someone else, they're not being difficult. They are communicating something real about the depth of their attachment to you. The appropriate response isn't to dismiss it or to reward it endlessly. It's to acknowledge it briefly, calmly, and then return to what you were doing. A hand on their back, a quiet word, a signal that says, "I'm still here. You haven't lost me." That small gesture does more for your dog's sense of security than any amount of training or treats. Here's the reframe this video has been building toward. What we call jealousy in dogs isn't really jealousy at all, not in the way humans experience it, with its ego and its competition and its wounded pride. What dogs experience is something closer to attachment anxiety, a deep, evolutionarily ancient fear of losing access to the person their entire emotional life is organized around. When your dog walks across that room and puts himself between you and the world, he is not trying to control you. He is telling you something that he has no other way of saying. You are my person. Please don't disappear. One final note, and this one matters. Not all jealousy-adjacent behavior is equal, and knowing the difference is useful. A dog who nudges you, seeks brief contact, and then settles is expressing attachment in a healthy, manageable way. A dog who escalates, who becomes aggressive toward other people, who cannot settle regardless of reassurance, who controls your movement through persistent anxiety, is showing you something that deserves closer attention, ideally with a behavioral professional. The line between protest and controlling behavior is worth knowing, because one is your dog saying "I love you," and the other is your dog saying "I'm not okay," and those require very different responses. The next time your dog wedges himself between you and someone else, pause for just a moment before you react. Look at him, really look, because what you're seeing isn't a misbehaving animal competing for your attention. You're seeing a living creature whose entire emotional architecture is oriented around you, who tracks your energy, mirrors your stress, and reaches for you when the world feels uncertain. That is not jealousy. That is one of the most profound forms of attachment that exists between two different species on this planet, and you are the center of it. If your dog has ever done something like this, drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know what it looked like. And if you've ever wondered whether your dog truly knows when you're upset, not just senses something is off, but actually knows, that's exactly what we're exploring next.